Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Sanatana Dharma. That's not right. Promotes caste system? Sanatana. That doesn't sound right. I am sure I am not pronouncing that right. So anyway, I thought this was an interesting one. I don't remember how much Sadhguru has talked about the caste system. I know he has a little bit, and how it was misinterpreted. He talks about the different levels and the bottom not being like the bottom of the barrel, but the foundation and the different levels. I don't know, it's really weird how they kind of did it that way, but the Brahmins at the top, they're the priestly class, the working class on the bottom, the foundation of the society itself. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started.
Somewhere you understand, unless I handle this life well, it won't work. This means you understand my life is my karma. You're becoming a Hindu.
Yeah, and this is the thumbnail, by the way. Untouchable street cleaners. I'll tell you now, in America, manual laborers and street cleaners, well, maybe not so much street cleaners, but certain types of manual labor slash tradesmen get paid a lot. Like dealing with sewage system and stuff is, generally speaking, they get paid a lot because no one really wants to do those jobs. So the unwanted jobs, the dirty jobs, you get, generally speaking, get paid a lot. And again, this this goes back to me watching this one YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm driving off, but I want to say this real quick. I watched this one YouTube video. It was an American plumber reacting to, was it American plumber? Anyway, it was someone reacting to the untouchables, I think, people who goes and cleans like sewage and stuff. He's a sewage worker in a sense in India, and he talked about how, you know, he's an untouchable, and I think it was an American plumber, and he said, you know, in America you get paid big money doing that stuff because no one wants to do it. And when there's no one that wants to do it, you can charge whatever price you want to do it. Now, mind you, you can charge like billions of dollars, but you know, you have to be realistic in terms of how much they're willing to pay. But you can charge a lot because no one's, when it comes to desperate, when it becomes desperate, they're almost willing to pay anything. But there are people out there willing to work. So I don't know. It made me just think about all that, about the untouchables, and it makes me feel really sad that there's people out there that are kind of treated that way. Even in America, look, no country has, you know, is perfect. You know, especially if you're very diverse. But anyways, it's interesting that it kind of works a little bit different. Hopefully some of that made sense. But the whole point is just that, you know, the job that he's doing, he's getting paid very little and barely making it. If it was in America, he'd be rich. Well, I mean, he'd be well off.
So, you must understand Hindu is not an ism, Hindu is not a religion, Hindu is not a particular way of life as people are trying to define. Hindu is a land. Because of the land, people became Hindu. Because of the people, the civilization became Hindu. Because of the civilization, the nation became Hindustan. This issue of only one community should be inside the temple, I think we have settled it with the Dravidian movements. Communities were formed on the basis of profession. If you are a carpenter, you're one kind of achari. If you're a goldsmith, you're another kind of achari. If you're a blacksmith, you're another kind of achari. If you're a trader, you're one kind of vaishya. If you're an agriculturist, you're another kind. If you're a ruling if you're a militant class, you're one kind. So based on professions, communities happened over a period of time. It is not that there was no transmigration, people could go. It is over a period of time where, unfortunately, people will perceive differences as discrimination and use it as a tool of exploitation.
Initially, we started these yoga programs in villages.
We said, no caste, no creed, no nothing, everybody has to sit together. We forced this upon people. Initially they resisted and then we said, no, you have to do it. No caste creed, everybody has to sit together. Then we found, next time you go, you don't have any place for you to do your yoga. Because after the previous class, there's a whole meeting's gone on in the village. They said from where the hell these people came and 1,000 years we have had this caste system, how can they take it away? Not possible. Don't allow them to do any yoga. So no yoga in our village, they said. Then I saw, what's the point? It's a few 1,000-year-old problem. You're not going to solve it overnight. Now we said, okay, high caste one program, low caste another program. But the nature of the program is such that if you go through it slowly, your distinctions about caste in your mind will at least come down, maybe not go, at least come down. But we said games you play together.
Very, very smart. Again, people who are so enshrined in their beliefs, even in… I can see this in America as well, it's more like religious beliefs. And even other types of beliefs. You can think of anything that you want, it's probably that too. In America, mind you. But in order to defeat these beliefs is to kind of play into their beliefs, but to break it down little by using their own logic. The best way to break down any kinds of beliefs is through future generations. So children, because children, they just want to play. Who cares about your caste system? You're a friend, you play, we like playing the same thing, let's freaking keep playing, And it's the parents that kind of teaches the caste system and kind of corrupts the children a little bit. Not all, of course. I mean, there's just these particular people. Even then, sometimes, even the children don't fall for it. It's like, why would I want to believe that? Why would I want to think low of him? He's my best friend, kind of deal. There are some children that will fall for it and then think of themselves higher, and some of the children who won't. But nonetheless, that the children who don't will no longer pass that, they'll no longer believe in that or pass that down to their children about the caste system. And the ones that have passed it down, well, they're already one less of that type of beliefs. Jeez.
Once they play the game together, they forgot which caste
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, children for sure.
See, suppose there is a volleyball team in your village and one Harijan boy is playing extremely well. He becomes everybody's darling, isn't it? See, this has happened in a very big way in United States. The black people, no matter what laws were passed, laws were about equality. But people kept the segregation going. Only when the black people got into the sport, they became champions in everything because of their physique or whatever. Now you hate the black people, but you got Michael Jordan's poster in your house. You can't help it. So you have to work some other way. Given to my way of looking at life, I wouldn't want this caste and that caste to sit separately. I don't want it. But now I allow it. I said, it's okay. If you go head on, nothing will happen. It's okay, you work with them. If you want them to come your way, you must be willing to walk at least 3 steps with them. Then they'll come your way. Right now, if you say, you come my way, I'm not going to come your way, they are not going to move, you're not going to move.
And then you kind of lost it right there. Then you're not making any change whatsoever. It's really tough, of course, to play into their beliefs because it goes against yours and your beliefs. But in order for you to make changes in life, you have to be able to be flexible a bit. Again, not to lose your way, but you have to understand their way and then how to break down their way. And the only way to do that is by understanding them. This is something that kind of my one coworker struggles with. Because again, I talk about oh my gosh, I forgot what his name is. Daryl Davis. He does this. He does exactly what Sadhguru does. And my friend will say, no, just make laws and throw them in jail. It's like, you're not going to change their mind that way. It's like, well, it's not my responsibility. They have to change their mind, not me. It's like, yeah, that's not how the world works, though. You know, all you're doing is going to keep perpetuating this idea. It's like, yeah, you're you're reinforcing what they believe. I knew they're like this is the people. It's like, I knew they were like this. See, he threw me in jail. I knew they were bad people. So you're reinforcing their belief that you're a bad person because you want them in jail for their beliefs.
The situation will just remain the same.
Or worse.
So how to work in the society we have to see, but still we don't give up what we want, isn't it? What's valuable for us, we are not going to give it up. But we have to work with the society and social realities as it is. You can't ignore it.
Hindu is not a ism. Hindu is a land. And over a period of time, Hindu became a civilization. Hindu never was an ism, nor is it today an ism. Well, because of political situations, power tussles that happen among people, people will twist and turn whichever way they want. But the identity of Hindu is of the land that lies between Himalayas and the Indus-Sagara, which is the Indian Ocean, between the mountain ranges and the ocean. This land is Hindu. The people who lived here naturally became Hindus. So it got referred to as Hindustan, the land of Hindus. The land was Hindu, so people became Hindu. Because people became Hindu, the nation or all the nations which were there at that time in this region became collectively Hindustan. Like when we say European, it may be French, it may be Italian, it may be Spanish, it may be now Ukraine, we don't know who else will become European. Turkey is becoming European. So, like that, different types of people, different kingdoms and empires during different times of history all got referred to as Hindustan. A civilization is not an outcome of one belief or one teaching, or it did not fall out of one book. Variety of things happened. In terms of geography, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of languages, in terms of culture, variety of things happened across this land, a variety which is quite unimaginable for most people. Over 19,000 languages developed. 19,000 languages just in Hindustan. That means there were that many cultures, that many types of people, that many kind of cookings. Yes. Various things, a kaleidoscope. Every which way you look at it, it's different. But what is it about? If human intelligence is freed from fear, guilt, and some silly reward somewhere else, whether you call it heaven, paradise, swarga, whatever you call it, some silly rewards up there, or fear of punishment, or guilt, If these three things you remove from human mind, naturally human intelligence will seek. Essentially, the idea of heaven or paradise or swarga is appealing only because they're infested with greed. What is here is not enough, something more out there. Silly exaggerations of what you know here. If these three things are removed from human intelligence will naturally seek the ultimate nature of who we are. So in this search, this civilization encountered astronomy. Today, everybody's got intellectual property rights. India is the only country which doesn't have intellectual property rights. Everything that's Indian or that belongs to this Hindustan has been stolen and used all over the world, everybody claiming it as their own. Well, because they had gunpowder. That's a lot of power, you know. So, we encountered astronomy, we encountered mathematics. There wouldn't be mathematics in the world without this land and this civilization. No, are you all clapping? Oh, no mathematics in the school? No, that's not what I'm saying. If there is no mathematics, there is no science. All the many things that we are doing in the world today, many things we are enjoying in the world today in terms of technology would not exist if there is no complex mathematics which we encountered in our pursuit, in our search, because we had no conclusions in our minds. We had no fear, nor were we infested with greed or guilt. We lived our lives full, but no fear of God, no fear of hell, no fear of anything, because we saw the most important thing is to seek, to know. So astronomy, mathematics, music, well, there are variety of music, but if you pay attention, you will see the classical music that evolved in this land. In terms of complexity of its foundations, there is no other like it. This is not my opinion. The greatest musicians in the world will say this. When there is a complex foundation, what you build can be anything. There is no limit. If you do not have a complex enough foundation, what you build is minimal. What you can build is minimal. So there is a very complex understanding of mathematics, different aspects of it, particularly geometry, astronomy. This is the culture. Even 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, clearly we are speaking about the planet being round and planet going around the sun. We did not believe that Earth is the center of the universe. This came to us not because we were full of scientists in this country, this came to us because we were seekers. If you're genuinely into science, you must be a seeker. You can't be a believer and be a scientist. Simply not possible. Because belief means you made conclusions about things that you have no clue about. All these things we encountered, we came across mathematics, music, astronomy, mysticism, many magical and mystical things.
I will say there can be some belief in science, and what I mean by this is that you can look at a problem and you can say, I believe this might be the solution. But you can't go out there and saying, this is the solution. You can say, I believe that is the solution. Now let me solve it. And if you solve it, boom, your belief is true. But if you fail to, it's like, my belief is wrong. But I think scientists, they call it the hypothesis. Basically, they They look at a thing, they kind of make a prediction based on some known information, and then they test it. It's kind of, at least they call it the scientific method, I believe. It's been a while since class, but there's nothing necessarily wrong with believing in something, but you cannot say it is true. That's where the problem lies, entails. But believe in something, then test it. Then if it's true, test it again, and then have other people test it. And if they all prove to be true, it's like, holy crap, this might be true then. My theory, my belief in this might be true. And mind you, it's not a belief in like something very crazy or outstanding, like this will, I don't know, destroy the world, you know, not crazy belief like that. It's just more like, this will make things taste sweeter. That's my belief. Let's test it. Oh, no, that may things taste like crap. But you get what I'm saying. It's nothing wrong with necessarily believing something, but the problem is when you say it is the truth without any kind of test. So beliefs makes you go test things, because you kind of have to have you kind of have to have a problem and then a goal to the solution. There's different methods, of course. You don't have to have that belief to find a solution. It doesn't necessarily, I don't believe it makes it more harmful or less harmful, but there are different methods. Whatever works, works. You know, there's some method that someone says this is the solution and found it to work, and there are many methods out there that says I don't know what the solution is. Let's test out many different things. Thing is, though, is that in order for you to test something, you must believe it to work. For example, what was it? Penicillin. The discovery of that, I believe, was a lot of scientific discoveries in the past were very much accidental. And they had a belief that maybe this does work for something. And it did. But they had that belief. They didn't know for sure yet. But there's that belief that said this might be the fix for it. Now this one I watched from, I think it was called SciShow on YouTube real quick, last thing. How artificial sweeteners were discovered, where they were working on some chemicals that are very poisonous, but then certain residues got left in someone's hand and they tasted it and it tasted super sweet. And they made an assumption, this might be good, and it kind of is, but it's probably bad for you too.
But we still pursued, because our pursuit was not to find this and that which we think is useful to us. We want to find the truth about our existence, the nature of what this is. In this pursuit, we pursued endlessly. As the seeking and the pursuit and the perception deepened, and it became very profound, we found nothing. When we found nothing, we said, Shiva. Then we found the basis of everything was this nothing. The greatest miracle in the universe is this, that everything comes out of nothing and goes back to nothing. Everything else, what you call as you and me, what you call as this planet, what you call as this solar system, what you call as this universe or galaxies or cosmos, these are all only manifestations. But we were not interested in the manifestations. We enjoy the manifestation, we appreciate the manifestation, but our interest is to know what is the nature of the source. We realized the source is actually not something, it is nothing. And it's not in one place, it's just everywhere. So we say Shiva, that means that which is not. Well, people could not relate to it, so they were looking for a form. Then human beings who are in very profound pursuit, who realized the nature of the manifestation and its source, because they realized that which is not, we called them Shiva. So the Shiva that you talk about today that generally is worshipped in this land. He doesn't need worship because he sits disinterested. He is not somebody who is going to be influenced by your praise or your offerings of this and that. He simply sits disinterested. This is why a more appropriate description of him is Adiyogi. Shiva means that which is not, because that which is not cannot be seen, heard, smelled, touched. One who realizes that also we hold as Shiva, because one who realizes that becomes the doorway for that. See, when you say my home, if you think of, oh, I'm going home, you're not think of all the rooms and bathroom and toilet and back door and kitchen, no. It's a front door, which is your home. When you arrive, this is my home. You're pointing at the front door and saying, this is my home. So the door is very important. So one who becomes the doorway for that which is not, we call him also Shiva. So this pursuit, what is the point? The point is this: if you know the nature of the source, if you have the time and inclination, you know the nature of everything. If you know something, you will know only something. But if you know nothing, then everything is possible. So this pursuit is the basis of this civilization. This is a land of seeking, not a land that believes. This is a godless land. There is no the God anywhere. As I have told you many times, we know the technology of God-making. Well, there are words like this, we say call something Bhagwan. You must understand the Bhagwan. The word Bhagwan comes from the root word bhaj, which means that you look up to, that you revere, that which is glorious. So if a human being or a tree or a mountain looks glorious to us, we say Bhagwan, because it's worthy of my reverence. Anything that deeply impacts you becomes your Bhagwan.
It's very interesting that it said it's worthy of my reverence, meaning that you deem whatever it is to be worthy of your reverence. It's something that it has to earn, and not something that it's given immediately or automatically.
When we say Bhagwan, we are not talking about the God sitting up there in heaven who knows how to manage everything here. No, if you look back at the history of this planet, you obviously know God doesn't know how to manage things. Hello? Are you willing to hand over your life to God and say, do it the way you want? No. Things that are not in your hands, you're willing to give it to Him. Things that are in your hands, your money, throw it in front of the temple and go away, let me see. No. What you don't have, of course. Lot of people come to me also and say, Sadhguru, usir kuduthruve Sadhguru. Ayyo, usir uduvendappa. That means I'll give my life to you, Sadhguru, right now. Hey, don't hold it, huh? Hold it. If you hold it there and then give yourself, then I know how to use it. If you give it away, what do I do?
Alright, I think that's a decent stopping point. But again, to go back to the belief, there is going to be a certain amount of belief when you do certain works, no matter what it is. To solve a disease, for example, you look at it, it's like, I think, because you don't know for a fact And if you don't know for a fact, you're kind of believing in something. But it's all based on experience and previous knowledge, but it's still not an absolute fact. So there is a good reason for a belief, but it's not to say that it is a fact. Again, so like if you have a cold that's very similar to another cold, you can believe that the thing that handles that old cold will handle the new cold. It's not factual yet because you haven't tested it, but you can believe it to work. You have a very strong belief. You have a very strong evidence, but still a belief that it will work. It's not for sure, but you have to test it out and try it. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of belief, but as long as you do not say it is fact. So long as you don't say what your belief is fact, then there's nothing wrong. You can say, I believe this, but you can't say what I believe is fact. There's the problem, which there's a lot of that. Anyway, that's the part one of this thing. This is pretty interesting. Hasn't really touched up too much on the caste system just as of yet. I mean, he did a little bit, but maybe in the second half he'll go a little bit more into it. He did talk about how the caste system was abused earlier and people want to take advantage of it, but after that it's been about how the country and the people became Hindus. Yes, sorry, I had to think about that. Did I mispronounce it? Did I say Hinduism? But how the people and the country, he says that the country is Hindu itself, and then the people became Hindu because of the country. My opinion on that one is, it doesn't matter where the country is. I think it's the people that makes it Hindu. It's the culture, the belief, and everything. Just because there's a name to it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the, like, for example, I was going to reference a movie. I guess I'll do that first. Thor, Ragnarok. Their homeworld was destroyed, and I believe the father, Odin, said that, what did he call his people? Anyway, whatever he called his people, I can't remember what it's called anymore. It's not the place, it's the people, which is very true, because the culture is what makes kind of the people, well, not the culture is what makes the name. The people, what makes the culture. So if you take that culture and bring it to Mars, for example, all of a sudden is it no longer that culture? So let's, for example, the Hindus. Let's take the Hindus, because he's using that, and put it to Mars. Are they all of a sudden not Hindus anymore because they're not on, India? Don't get me wrong, they'll probably get a new name, but they're still Hindus. Because, and if they make the culture matching and the exact same, preparing the exact same food, language, and culture, it's indistinguishable, then, you could say it's like a Mars Hindu, I guess, or Hindu Mars. Because it's just a location for sure, but its roots are in Hindu culture. So I'm not saying Sadhguru's wrong, obviously, but I think to me it's more of the people, because it's what the culture is. The people creates the culture, and the culture is the idea, I believe. So, for example, yeah, I think I gave enough examples. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below, honestly. I think I'm mostly right, but there could be some arguments for, like, when you, after a while of that Mars colony, there could be some lost roots, but then again, you can go back to the original, perhaps Indian people, and their culture has changed as well from the original roots. So cultures do change. But still, there are still Hindu people. I guess maybe it might be the land a little bit there too. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that one. That's a very interesting one, because yes, we understood people in India are Hindus. So that means if you're born there and raised there, whether your blood, your genetics is Indian or not, I would believe you are Hindu. If you take that culture and put it into Mars, would that still be Hindu, or would that be different now? I would say it is still, but obviously due to the separation, there'll be some development changes on Mars over here, Mars, and India, let's say that. So after a long period of time, they'll develop differently. So what was originally a Hindu colony or whatever, now may be a little bit different from the original Hindu, because again, they grew up in separate planets for one matter, and adapted their cultures to best suit the situation that they're in. But even the original the original country would change too. India doesn't look the same as it did back in the day. A lot of the culture did survive for sure, but then it changed to adapt accordingly. So I wonder if Sadhguru's actually right about the land thing. Let me know. Let me know your original thoughts. Think before what Sadhguru said, or think before of some of the things I said to see if you did or don't agree, and then now. If you can think like that, if you even know what I mean. Always let me know in the comments below. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.